We finally back. Finally. He's on Fire podcast after it doesn't matter how many months. It's been a while, and a lot has obviously gone on since then, from the Coyotes moving to the Masters today, Diamondbacks winning another series, hoping that the Cards don't screw up another NFL draft. Next Wednesday, something like that. Suns going 7-3 in their last 10-game gauntlet. All of a sudden, some people are saying the Suns are hitting at their right stride. I'm not so sure. We're going to get into everything here, but it's good to be back podcasting and talking with everybody and seeing you guys here. We are back with ASAP Arizona. It's going to be a lot of fun breaking everything down. Can't wait to get some more people in here. We'll see you after the intro video. Let's go.
Urkavici sets, loads up, heaving one deep, and it is caught! James Strong!
Blitz coming, Palmer extending the play. Nobody there. Pushes the field. Larry Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald is Larry Fitzgerald is insane to the 4-yard line.
Crowder looking, throws it alley. Oh! He puts it down! He puts it down!
Neal inbounds. Desmond Cambridge.
Oh!
Arizona State has done it!
Good to bring back the intro. Good to feel that, right? It's awesome to be back here, you guys. I'm really pumped about what we're going to be able to do with ASAP Arizona. It's going to be a lot of fun getting to know everybody again. So, what up? Here we go. Phoenix Suns in the playoffs yet again. Not the way we envisioned it. This has been probably the most frustrating season of all time. Everybody's going to be able to agree with that. There's a lot of miscues every single game, a lot of bad body language, a lot of BS that we're seeing, right? And then all of a sudden we go 7-3 these last 10. Brad Beal looks like he's got his pep in his step. All of a sudden things could happen against the T-Wolves, man. Look, Jay, Salty, welcome in, you guys. It's good to see y'all. We went 3-0 against the T-Wolves. But this is the playoffs now. I mean, we know how the refereeing is going to get. We know the crowd's going to be a different intensity. It looks like game one is going to be on Saturday, which gives us 5 days off. So not quite the full week, but I'm sure we'll travel back to Phoenix and then back to Minnesota Thursday or Friday. I don't know if I really want to get into predictions like Suns in 6, Suns in 4 guy, none of that shit, because this team has been so god-awful at so many things. I just want them to show up in the first quarter of the first game, right? If they can prove that they're going to go out there with intensity and box out, not turn the ball over, it's a make or miss league. You may make shots, miss shots, it's whatever, but getting those loose balls, doing the little things. If they can do that, I do like our chances. Jay, I want to start with you, man. Tell me your thoughts about this series coming up. What are you feeling about where we are with the Suns as well?
Well, to talk about this series as a whole, first I got to say it's great to be back talking to you guys again. It's been long overdue. I've been, scratching, wanting to, come and service, Arizona sports fans again. But it's just good to be back to talk about.
He's on fire!
It's been a long time since I've heard that. But to talk about the series, you kind of have to talk about the whole season in a sense, just sort of briefly. I'm not going to break down every little aspect. But
don't need to. It was hell.
Yeah. We've gone through every trial and tribulation you could possibly think of with bad injury luck, inconsistency. Well, that's still a prevalent thing. A lack of accountability, a lack in buying into the coaching system, questioning the coaching system, not really trusting, role players. Not a good portion of our free agencies didn't work out. We ended up getting a good guy, and now we went through a little bit of a gray period. But when people were talking about the last 10 games of the season being one of the hardest since like 82 or whatever.
Yeah, some shit like that.
Some crazy like that. I knew we had to, put up or shut up, and we did in a sense, 7-3 to close out. We swept Minnesota. We got a game off the Clippers, even though that was a very frustrating game. A blow for blow win over the Kings. The night before, that was tough as well. The Pelicans, they're always going to be around. Willie Green is a great coach, but I think as a whole, the Suns team, you can break it down in many different variables, but you can kind of do that with just about every team in the West, but besides the top three. I wasn't anticipating the West being as much of a gauntlet going into this season. Like, everyone was good this year, from seed 1 all the way to 12, if you can believe it or not. Every team has had the opportunity to upset somebody, and we saw that with the Spurs and Houston, and even Memphis, with Gigi Jackson getting a sort of the recent shine recently. So every team has been pretty stellar on the Western front. And then you look in the East, and when we did play some of the top Eastern teams, Milwaukee kind of like shot us out of the gym, and then Boston being Boston. So just this whole season has been insane for a Phoenix Suns fans perspective, but if we kind of got the matchup that we're looking for, but now it's time to put our money where our mouth is. I like our chances against Minnesota. We'll break down all the numbers later. I've been kind of rambling. I want Salty to kind of take over now.
Hey, can you guys hear me? I think my internet switched over to.
No, you're good. We hear you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we hear you.
Man, where do I start? Like, where do you start with this season, man? It's the most anticipated Sun season in history is what the tagline, the press conference with respect. That was just kind of corny as fuck, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, the pop and circumstance that we threw for him, and then like the whole process, the bill situation, and then like the build up. It's like you couldn't be more excited because Evan, you remember when we were on the phone when the KD news broke, we were just screaming and just fucking really happy. And it's just like you take that whole journey. We take it right, like DA's traded and all this other stuff, and we're like, wow, this is it, man. This is the season that we're going for. And then like Bradley Beal immediately is injured, injured, back injury. And I was in the DMs with you guys, and I had back problems, and I told you it was just like what he was talking. It's like his game is centered around getting to the hoop, explosiveness, penetrating, all that other stuff. And it's like with a back injury, you just never know. You have the example with Green on the Warriors. He hurt his back and he had to have surgery and he was out for a while, and you never know with the back injuries. So it's like we started it with that, and it was just this continuous Bill's out, Katie's out, Booker's out, Bill's out, Katie's out, Booker's out. And then the narrative was like, oh, just wait until the big three's together. We got to get more time with the big three together. And we take it all the way back to when Katie joined the Suns and he injured his fucking ankle in a layup line, dog. A layup line. That's the most cursed shit I've ever seen in my life. Like, who injures himself, rolls their ankle in their first home game in a layup line? Like, that should have just sent off like red flags to everybody that the Suns are just cursed, because it's like, who does that? So, and then we were saying that whole narrative with Katie, oh, he didn't have enough time with the team. He only had 10 games, whatever. Let's just wait till next year. And then we get into the same narrative, and it was just like, hearing that over and over and over and over. And then we finally get the big three together, and the energy has been off all year, dude. It has been like grinding your teeth on a chalkboard, trying to watch this team have any kind of congruency on not only the offensive end, but the defensive end. And you're just like, why is this happening? Like, why is this team so hard to watch? Because it was painful to watch this team. They would never blow anybody out. I think we had like 2 blowouts the whole year, and it was just, there's no leadership, no identity. Our coach was a defensive coach. We don't play defense. Like what? It's just that's the biggest issue I have with this team, and it's just you look at the Bill contract, and we'll talk about Bradley Bill and how he's turned things up. But I was just like, man, we shot ourselves in the foot with Bill, man. Like his contract is huge. 50 mil, 55 mil, 60 mil in the end.
You've been saying that since we traded for him, bro. It was like, I feel like it was Father's Day because I remember I was out golfing and I had a massage booked for me and everything. I feel
was
like
at the lake
Father's
and
Day.
Salty said that right away.
Fucking away.
Because everybody, you see that trade and you're like, oh, we fleeced the Washington, right? Some seconds. We got Shamit and CP3, the corpse of CP3. And it's like, well, why would Washington be willing to do that, right? If they have this max player, right? Why would they just do that? And then he gets on our team and he immediately blows his back out, and then gets injured again and then gets injured again. I'm like, So I couldn't really, the narrative was like, well, Bradley Bill's always hurt because like he didn't play on Team USA. Right. Jerry Colangelo was talking about him. I love Bradley Bill. We tried to have him on Team USA and he got hurt. It's just the narrative, So we couldn't really know what Bradley Bill was. And then he deferred. Like he started trying to be a point guard. Like we could talk about the point guard's choice. Hey, we don't need a point guard. Turnovers, offensive rebounds. Where do you start? And then it's just the up and down nature of this team. It's like they get beat by the Spurs early in the year, and you're like, whoa, that's a problem, right? So it's just like it all comes together. Like I know there's so much information for this season, but I would say it's one of the most frustrating teams for the whole year, like in Suns history for me, because when we had those dog shit teams, at least they were just garbage, like you didn't expect anything. Like this was painful to watch most of the year.
This was like watching that team on the basketball floor with the hype of the Redeem team. That's what this was to me. And just for me, it started with, I got into it with a couple of media members recently, and my whole thing was everyone just kept saying, just like what Salty just said, just wait for the big three to be there. We haven't seen them at full capacity. How can anybody say that beforehand? Dog, if you're paying attention and you're actually watching the little intricacies of what's going on, you will understand like one or two things. One, we're running maybe one or two different actions in an offensive possession, whereas today I was counting, we had 4, 5, 6 different actions in one possession. A complete stark contrast from what we started. And two, just look at the body language. The body language will tell you everything. Every time we would try to get on a little run in a Tuesday game against the fucking Pistons, whoever you want to choose, they would make a couple shots here or there, and you just see KD and Brad Beal, before the ball hit the floor after going through the net, they would go, here, pass it in. Like, right fucking away. Those little things matter. And for anybody to say, like, oh, just wait for this, wait for that, you're fooling yourself, man. Like, you have to watch what is going on in the games in the beginning of the season. That is so crucial. That's why me and Salty were really frustrated in our own group chat, even with Jay. I mean, we were going back and forth big time early in the season, and we kept being like, yo, I'm telling you, these things matter. Like, having Beal coming back, that doesn't guarantee anything. If anything, I thought it threw another fork in the road. It made it even harder to get any type of synchronicity going, right? Because now you're adding another star caliber player to do this, do that. And if we want to talk about point guard, man, I'm glad point book ain't a thing anymore, man. Point book was not working. You can convince me that it can work in spurts, right? In a 2-3 minute spurts at the end of the first quarter or beginning of a fourth or whatever it may be. We can talk about that, but for a full game, man, that ain't him. So it was too many cooks in the kitchen, too many players doing the same thing, not enough energy and hustle, man. I mean, it definitely felt like they were trying to play for the playoffs, but they didn't care about the regular season at all until like the last few games. They look sharp, man. I mean, say what you want, but they look sharp. If they did this for a full, and here's a crazy thing, before I go any farther, if we get 8 more wins throughout the season, we are tied in first place. 8 wins. That's all it was. There was the Golden State game where Bradley Beal got it, went for the steal and it should have been stolen or could have challenged it. That's a game right there. We can count games, right? What, Jay, what'd you have to say? Oh, that way.
The fourth quarters, man. Like if we would have been slightly better in the fourth quarters, with the turnovers and actually just, scoring maybe 10 points in the fourth quarter, and we would be where Boston is record wise. So again, I hate to cut you off, but the West has been so fucking loaded. I wasn't expecting this. I didn't expect the high jump that OKC was going to have. I wasn't necessarily expecting Minnesota to be as steamrolly as they were.
Not steamrolly, but I thought they'd be good. Go on, sorry.
But dude, the West has been insane, and I give credit to all these teams because they punched me in the mouth. They punched everybody in the mouth. Every team's been good, and Houston being good in the last quarter of the season, that was unexpected. San Antonio just upsetting teams like us and Denver, and they were close to being Boston in one game. All these teams have been swarming and circulating, and I think we're just entering a new age in the NBA. But I keep going to what you were saying, but yeah.
So real quick, what I wanted to say, then I want to open this part up real quick was, in regards to the Suns season, right? Anything can happen, right? We've seen it before. Maybe this team was holding things back. Maybe that was actually the case. If you look at the 4, 5, 6 different actions and possessions today, where they could have done 2 or 3 different things with the ball if they didn't just get fucking open layups and open shots. Other things were open, which was great to see. Anything can happen. This is a smart group. It's a veteran group. It's not like we have Mikal and Cam Johnson in their second or third year, right? Where they haven't been to the playoffs before. All these dudes are battle proven. Anything can happen. If who was it? It was the 94 or the 95 Houston Rockets was the last team to win an NBA championship as the 6th seed. That was coming off of their championship the year before. Last year it was the Heat making it all the way from the play-in tournament to get to the finals. Anthony Davis played 76 out of 82 games. Jamal Murray didn't get hurt. Look, I've seen crazier things happen in sports. Suns go up 2-0 and then they blow it in the finals. Crazier things have happened, but the way, I don't want to sound optimistic and give anybody fucking hope here, but the way it's laid out with Minnesota in the first round, potentially the Nuggets in the second round, that is the ideal scenario. I think we all wished for 2 months ago, potentially, right? Especially with Nurk being able to guard Jokic like he does. So anything can happen right now, but I lean towards what we've seen with the Suns this year, as opposed to being optimistic and starting to analyze statistics, or whatever the fuck you want to do, right? I'm not too high on them, but this is kind of perfect for them.
Well, I'll tag in here. One of the things is, I know that it's completely different sports, but do you remember how the Dbacks finished their season?
Oh, who doesn't remember that?
Dude,
that was gorgeous.
Well, here's the deal. They limped into the playoffs. That was the last game of the season. I think who'd they play? The Astros?
It was the Astros, yeah, and we lost that game.
We lost. So we left our fate up to we didn't even win that game. And then guess what? They burned through the playoffs, So it's if people forget that, because I remember it clear as day. I was like, oh, well, they don't even want to win the last game of the year to make sure they get in the playoffs. But then they got in, and then they just, boom, connected. And it's just when you see, because it's tough to kind of put yourself into the mindset and the thought process of these players. But KD's been in so many playoff games and so many just games in general, him is specifically, and this is a veteran team, even to Booker for a certain extent, not Bradley Beal as much because he hasn't been in the playoffs that much, but this team has always had the playoffs as that goal. And it's the NBA season is long, right? So it's tough to run that gauntlet and not have major injuries. So like to look at our team and to say that our team is 100% injury free for the most part is a success in general, because we're not saying we're down a major player or so from that perspective, that's a huge W. We're all the chambers are full in our gun for the playoffs. So, and then what I've seen in the toughest stretch of the year, the last 10 games, would they go 7-3?
Yep.
They could have even won more than that, I think. And it's just, I'm not gonna say like I'm hugely optimistic that they could go to the finals or whatever, but I'm a lot better than I was like, I don't know, before this gauntlet or whatever, like towards the end of the season, because because it's a lot about matchups in sports as well, right? Like there's certain teams that just dick us down. Like it's just the way it is. So like you look at the matchup between the Mavs and the Clippers, would you rather have that matchup? No, hell no.
Right.
So it's like the dice kind of rolled in our favor. Yeah, like we wouldn't want to have OKC because they've kind of dicked us down. The Nuggets is a good matchup for us, and it's like you look at the way that it like rolled out for us, it's perfect. I think our matchup against the T-Wolves is absolute. I'm not going to say Suns in 4 or anything like that, but we swept them for a reason in the regular season. It wasn't even close, dude. So that's what I'm saying. In sports, it's about matchups, and I think we match up good with them. If we play the Nuggets in the second round, I like our chances with that. And then you go about whatever it. You take this matchup for what it is. We're not going to be in the play-in. We're not going to have a one-game scenario to kick us out of the fucking playoffs. So from that perspective, it's a W.
All you need to do is go 1-1 in Minnesota. You just need to win one.
Yeah, honestly. And to add to what Salty's saying, this is kind of like the first playoff NBA season I can really remember that like matchups are like a key, like the major key of a team success for like both sides of the bracket. Like because OKC doesn't want to see, the Thunder or OKC doesn't want to see the Wolves. Denver doesn't really want to see us. We don't want to really see the Thunder. And like it just go down the list and like there's a counter to like every team in the playoffs this year. And Boston, Miami's lurking. Milwaukee, Pacers are right there. Like Cleveland, the Knicks are, looking over their shoulders. Like this is kind of the first time in a while where like one, division games have mattered, and two, the fucking just there's a counter to just about every team in here. And what Salty said, like we asked for this layout and we're going to get that, like we have to take care of business here. And let's just get into, I guess, the matchup really with everything. Someone can, take the reins first, but I'm curious to see what y'all think about.
Real quick before we do that, it's just I have to give props to Adam Silver, and like them to be putting in the play-in tournament. Yeah, man. I like because if you guys remember when the Suns were like the top seed and we were playing the Grizzlies back in the day, and it'd be a 4-0 sweep, or like anytime the 8 seed would be playing the 1, it'd just be an instant out. No, not really worried about that shit. Like this is like NCAA tournament style, like where you legit could have some a lot of knockoffs. The excitement of playing is like absolute. Like I think it's cool, man. I get excited for it. I think it's going to be a great playoffs.
The fact that Denver, OKC, and Minnesota were all tied today, and just about the whole playoff bracket got settled today, is pretty nuts. I mean, credit to the NBA. I mean, I think the play-in was a very, very smart move.
It all depends on Kawhi Leonard and his knee, man. I mean, that was one thing you also thought going into the season was going to happen. Like Kawhi's not going to be able to finish, and then sure enough, he ain't finishing the season, and they are dead quiet on everything. And all of a sudden, some Paul George rumors for the 76ers in the offseason pop up. So I don't think he's healthy. That's what they've done the past few seasons. When Kawhi goes out, they don't say anything until the end. He's just listed as questionable or something, right? And then he just shows up as out the day before the game. So a lot's going to depend on that. If he was healthy, I would say Clippers will probably take the Mavericks, but I'm not so sure about that now. And then the only other matchup in the West that's set is us and Minnie. In the East, you got Boston and Indiana, and then you got Cleveland and Orlando. That's actually going to be a really fun matchup. I would imagine Cleveland would win that one, but who knows? As far as this matchup, we don't we don't match up with the T-Wolves don't match up with us. Excuse me. They just don't. They got 2 7-footers that can't really run that much. They're supposed to be an elite defensive team, and they're not going to be able to guard all 3 dudes. And I think a lot of it does depend on Bradley Beal. If he can put up games like he did today, he's starting to find his way and how he can insert himself here or there. And that was so important. He was the last piece to figure this out, while KD is definitely on a downward trajectory right now. He's looking awful. I don't remember the last game he put up 25, 30 plus, but anytime I do lay down a bet, I bet KD over in the turnovers, man. He's looked really awful all year, and I worry about him quite a bit, even going into next season. But the key is Bradley Beal. Devin Booker's going to do what he does. I hope we get playoff Book, and if we get playoff Book, where does that put Beal? Because now Book is on a trajectory of 40 to 50 points a game, right? So how is he able to find his spurts here or there? There's a lot of what ifs, man, and this is the type of shit we should have figured out during the season. So here we are in the playoffs against a team we wanted, and we match up very well against him. It's going to be loud in Minnesota, but this team is not playoff proven. The Minnesota Timberwolves lost 4-1 last year, right? And I don't think they were in the playoffs the year before. No, they won the year before. That was the Pat Bev year when he took off his jersey and we're like, we won a playing game or some shit, right? And then they get bounced again. So they don't have any real significant playoff experience. Anthony Edwards is the man. He's one of my favorite players to watch. Outside of that, nothing really scares me. The headiness of Mike Conley he can get hot, right? Jaden McDaniels, everybody is all on his nuts about being able to guard Book or KD or whoever. Playoffs are a different animal, completely different. And remember, he punched like the locker room or the door or some shit last year, so he didn't even play in the playoffs last year. He broke his hand right beforehand, so he didn't even play. So let's see how he does in the playoffs. It's going to be like everybody was talking about Herb Jones and Trey Murphy when we played the Pelicans, 2 years ago? And they shied away because they were not ready for that playoff success. Also, what's the Suns crowd going to be like? The last 25 to 30 games, that Suns crowd, we've been booing the fuck out of the Suns, and they deserved it. We have been. So they're not getting hype. How is the playoff energy going to come? If they go on a 8-0 scoring run against the Suns, are we just going to start booing and stuff? What's that going to look like? There's so many X factors coming up right now. Real quick, we got 75 viewers right now, which is amazing. If you guys could hit the thumbs up button and talk to us in the chat and whatnot, we'll post your comments and we'll go back and forth a little bit here. Right now, we're talking about the Suns. I want to get into the Coyotes leaving, Dbacks winning another series. I want to talk about Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Cardinals, hopefully. But for right now, Suns limp into the playoffs. But with a couple strong performances recently. So that's my analysis with the Suns going into it. Again, I don't care about Suns in 4, Suns in 6. If they can show up in the first quarter of the first game and show the heart, hustle, and energy, I like our chances. Whether we make or miss, I like our chances. Anybody else want to open the floor to?
Jay, you can go.
Okay, cool. So I want to give credit to Chris Finch and that Minnesota Timberwolves team. They've been very fun to watch. I will give them credit for that. Karl Anthony Towns has been pretty decent this year. I'm with you, Evan. Anthony Edwards. I'm trying to be nice here. Anthony Edwards, he is that dude. I love watching his game, and plus he has some pretty nice basketball shoes as well. They're very comfortable. The Suns and whatever for me. And then Mike Conley, he's found his niche little pocket with Minnesota. I'm glad he's still playing. their defense has been insane this year. 109 defensive rating this year. That's first in the league. And they're also third in 3-point percentage and third in net rating per game. And anyway, so this is a very good team. In a matchup sense, like my biggest issue with Minnesota this year is Anthony Edwards is not like a scorer, you know, like he can score, but his bag isn't like, no, like where they're, okay, here's the argument. So who is the more like prolific scorer, like a 5-point scorer? Is it Cat or is it Anthony Edwards at this time?
Anthony Edwards.
Anthony Edwards.
Without a
sure?
question.
Yeah.
Because this is my thing. With Minnesota, like I think they only average about 105 points a game, and that's with Monte Morris, that's with Mike Conley, that's with Karl Anthony Towns, and with Anthony Edwards as well. So my biggest issue with this Minnesota Timberwolves team is like, where is all their points coming from? Because they might be third in 3-point percentage, but they're not a high volume team. They're 17th in the league, so they're kind of middle of the pack. They're where we are, but we just choose not to shoot threes for whatever reason. But when we do, like we torch teams. Like if we shoot 40 threes a game, I think we're like 8-2. So that's my biggest gripe with this Minnesota Timberwolves team. Anthony Edwards, I mean, he's a brilliant player. He can get to the rim whenever he wants. He's a very, very strong player. But Karl Anthony Towns, he's just coming back. He's being integrated into a playoff atmosphere after being off for 4 months, 5 months.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, so that's another thing to consider. And plus, they have Rudy Gobert. You know, he can kind of get played off the floor in some series. And Minnesota's going into a series against 3 of the best mid-range scorers like in the league. And they're just going to draw him out every time. And Booker dicks
down Gobert every single time they touch the court. I have never seen Gobert do anything positive against Devin Booker. And I'm trying to not talk shit or say anything, but I'm just calling it like it is. He dicks him down.
What was up with Gobert going off on us today, dude? That was strange. Like
that was Drew, dude. It was that series with Drew.
And then he was hitting free throws like Giannis and prime Giannis in the finals. Like, what the hell? Like, I had flashbacks with that. But real quick, before I give my thoughts on the specific matchup, on Twitter I put what I think is going to happen, which probably won't, because if you look at my betting history, don't take me my predictions for jack shit. But it's interesting because the Lakers are playing the Pelicans, right? So for the play-in, I think the Lakers are going to just win that again, and it's a good matchup for them. So I think the Lakers will get that 7th. The Warriors going to play the Kings. I think that's an easy win for the Warriors. They'll get the 8th. And then the Pelicans versus Warriors, I just think the Pelicans match up better versus the Warriors. So I think they'll get that 8 seed. So it's going to be OKC versus the Pelicans, in my opinion. And I think OKC takes that. The Nuggets versus the Lakers is a crazy rematch from the conference finals. The Nuggets will take that. Suns versus T-Wolves. I'm not going to say how many games, but I like our chances with our matchup. Like I said, it's all about matchups. And the Mavs are on like a crazy roll, and I think that they have a lot of momentum. So I think they're going to take that series. So whatever, the Final Four, you could say what it is. OKC, Nuggets, Suns, Mavs. So in my opinion, I think that we just match up well with the T-Wolves. I think a lot of their momentum this year in the regular season, they're kind of a regular season team, in my opinion. I think that they tried very hard to, up the amount of victories. And if you look at the margin of error in the West, I've never seen the West this competitive, top to bottom. And it's not just 1 through 8; it's like 1 through 10.
It's every team.
It's like everybody has everybody's above 500, right? I mean, and it's almost significant margins. And you look at how competitive this shit is, it is insane. So that's why it's so important. It's not where you finish, it's like your matchups. That's why I'm so happy the way it panned out for the Suns, because Literally, like if the Suns were, I don't want them going up against the Mavs in the first round. I don't want them going up against the OKC in the first round. I'd be okay with the Nuggets because I like our matchup with them. The Lakers, I think, won our matchup this year. I think they match up pretty good with us. I'm not really too scared about them, but I think Anthony Edwards is legit. He's just super athletic, defends very well. Gobert is a beast in the middle. He can't do shit on offense. Karl Anthony Towns is kind of soft in my opinion. He's a good
That's fair.
offensive player, but like on the defensive end, he just doesn't do much to me. I know that they're the number one defensive team, but when it comes to playoffs, I just think that, like I said, if you go down the list and you just kind of read off the matchups, it's just they do not match up well with us in any facet. Like even from the rebounding perspective, that kind of gets canceled out with Nurk, right? Because Nurk is with Gobert. So Nurk, what does he excel at? He's bigger. He gets rebounds, right? So I don't know. I like it. I think you just got to steal one of the first two games, right? And then you take it back home. So that's the plan there. I do like the way that you're talking about multiple actions and like the ball movement and stuff like that. And I think that that's all contingent on Bradley Beal penetrating.
Yeah, man.
Huge. Like we didn't have that
Dish and
before.
kick.
It's like the reason why our offense sucked ass and it was so hard to watch, it was like ISO ball. ISO, KD, ISO. No running.
Pick and roll, three guys on the perimeter watching.
And then it's like everybody's standing on no one's moving, no actions going on, nothing. And it's like ISO ball, contested shot, painful to watch. That was the same with KD, and it was the same with Book, and it would end up in a contested shot or a turnover. And then you'd have Nurk, our offense running through Nurk, and he'd do these one-handed fucking dumbass passes. So it's like I like the Bradley Beal go hectic, run in the paint, have the defense collapse, kick, boom. You got KD for a three, or Book or anybody else, because we have the number one 3-point shooter on our team with what's his name? Ted Cruz. So yeah, I like it. I like our matchup.
The GOAT, Grayson Allen. The ghost of
just,
Ted Cruz passed.
You can just boil this series down to like it's really the scoring, because it's just hard for me to believe that Minnesota is going to be able to keep up with our scoring. Yeah, they can go on a run of getting a lot of good stops, because I've been watching Minnesota a good amount this year, and they could definitely, trip some teams up for a quarter. But like we just have so much firepower around the perimeter, and then Kevin Durant sees Niles Reed and he sees barbecue chicken. It's kind of like Eric Gordon for the Nuggets, or go down the list. So like Minnesota has so many good defenders, but they can only really attack, a couple of players at a time. This is where the Beal thing is so important. If we didn't have Beal this year and we saw Chris, we would be fucked, honestly.
But you can have a great defense, but this is an offensive league right now, right?
Yeah.
So,
that's really my point. They can't keep up with it.
Yeah, you can only do so much, and you got to be able to keep up firepower. But again, just that Kings game, man. That Kings game was so frustrating to watch. I don't know how we pulled that off. I was watching the live stream with John Voida and Matthew Lissy on Suns Jam Session, and they would switch over to a couple of the other games that were on that night, like during a timeout, and I put in the comments, I was like, it's more fun to not watch the Suns right now. And they were all laughing like, yeah, you're right. It is more fun to not watch the Suns right now. So even one game ago, I was bitching about all the stuff we have, and then we put together a complete performance. And the sad thing is, I don't even remember that many complete performances throughout the season. I remember we played Miami at home. There was a Laker game, one or two Denver games, all three of the Minnesota games apparently, and maybe like the Memphis game where we were going to the play-in and we won by like 40 points or 35 points or something like that to run the score up. We had trouble with the Utah games, the Houston games, the Spurs dicked us down. Like there were so few complete game performances by the Suns, it's like I still don't have the confidence to go out and say this stuff. You know what I mean? Because we just don't know which team is going to show up. And then there's Eric Gordon being out this game. How does he factor into everything? And what is he going to do in the playoffs? I mean, he's the one that dicked us down in the playoffs last year. Granted, they had so many injuries, but him and Russell Westbrook were giving us the business, man. So which Eric Gordon shows up? But go with the role players for a second. Grayson Allen is obviously a role player. Nurk obviously is. Outside of that, man, Royce O'Neal is an inconsistent ass player, man. You know. I mean, his pump fakes are great. He does a lot of the little things, but when it comes to the shot making, he's very hit or miss. I had to eat a lot of crow when we got him because I did not like his game. I like what his game brings to us, but he's still not as consistent as I would like. Right? Is Bull gonna play? Drew Eubanks. Is Drew Eubanks going to go on a negative 8-0 run just by him fucking self, and let Karl Anthony Towns get
that's
two
what happened
threes
today.
in his
We
face or something? Right, that's what I'm saying. So are we going to then shift to Thad Young? And remember all the different lineups we were going through last year in the playoffs. Monty didn't even know if we should play Terrence Ross or if we should start Jock Landale. You know what? No. This game we're going to play TJ Warren in like game 3 or some shit like that, right? And I feel like that's what we're about to see come playoff time as well, too. But when it comes to the role players, they are huge for us in this playoff run. They have to be able to win quarters, not games. We're not talking about games. They have to be able to put their team on a back for a stint, a 6-minute spurt, man, where they can get 10, 12 points, and things like that are what's going to win us a game. So which role players are going to step up on their side? Is Monty Morris? Monty Morris is going to be a guy that's going to come in and throw up 15 in a third quarter, right? Or a fourth quarter. He's going to be the guy to come in here. All of a sudden, we're going to have we're going to leave Mike Conley open. We're going to be up 18. We're going to leave Mike Conley open. He's going to hit a 3. We're going to do something stupid on the other end. He's going to throw a layup. We're going to throw a bad pass on the inbounds. He's going to steal for a 3, right? Even Mike Conley is going to be able to do some things against us. So which team is going to be able to use their other players to gain leverage? I'm definitely worried about Naz Reid. He has not played good against us, and I hope that continues. But this is the playoffs, and this is different. So Naz Reid could be another dude. So talking about the role players, Salty, which ones do you think can step up, and what are your general comments on them? Thank God we don't have fucking KBD and what was the dude we got from Brooklyn? Yuta the Shooter?
Yuta. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, having you list off who we had in the playoffs last year just gives me PTSD, man. Like it was.
Remember,
just
Bill Simmons
so
said
bad.
nothing would change if we had Bradley Beal instead of Shamet for that Denver series. Nothing would have changed.
Dude,
so I'm looking forward to seeing that shit. What a retard for sure.
So I don't know, like for role players, it's tough because how far is our coach gonna
What's up, Kenny?
shorten the bench? Like. Are we going to get Bobo minutes or is Eric Gordon?
Hey. Remember, the Phoenix Suns were the one that kicked Vogel's ass to the curb last time. And what did Vogel do? He kept on the Lakers. He kept starting different centers against us. One game it was Dwight Howard. The next game it was somebody else. You remember that? He even got afraid the last time his team was in the playoffs. So I don't know what Vogel's going to do. Sorry, Salty. I don't mean to cut you off. But
no. It's fine. Like it makes me just very, very. I just am confused because it's like we had the whole season to figure this out, and it's not like he couldn't figure it out. It's like all of a sudden, Bobo's killing it. Right? He's getting minutes. He's getting decent minutes, playing good, and then he just gets DMP'd multiple games.
Don't start with me.
Like, what are you doing in this situation? And then it's like Thad Young is clearly a veteran with all this experience, and he brings what the team needs in the backup center role. But then he's still just gargling Drew Eubanks nuts. Like he still plays him when he's a walking L, and it's like, what are you doing? Like, why is that not clear to you? And it's like that one game he listened to everybody, and he's playing Thad Young, and what else did he do? He switched out Grayson Allen for Royce O'Neal in the starting lineup, and it's like then he goes back to the bullshit that he tries to pull. So it's like, well, we got our 5, right? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how short is our bench? Because it's like Eric Gordon's got slotted in, so he's that 6. And it's like, is he going 7 and 8? Because then he gargles Drew Eubanks nuts, so he'll be one of those, right? So then it's like, well, how much time is really left for any of these other players to make an impact on the squad? And it's like, in my opinion, you can go 8, 9. I like 9. I think 8. I think the Nuggets went 8 in their runs. So
they went 8. You can go 9, but question to you, Salty. Here's the thing: when Drew Eubanks does go, or Eric Gordon, whoever it is, go on a terrible 4-minute spurt, is Vogel gonna have the balls to take that dude out and sub in a Thad Young? That's the question I have.
honestly, I don't get his coaching style. So that's why I just don't trust him as a coach. I don't think he's that good of a coach. I think he has some major issues and flaws. So that's one of the things I think that there's multiple reasons why we haven't got more wins or more, production out of our team. Like there's been injuries and stuff like that. But like, these are some of the things that I question when it's like, clearly you're seeing the talent differential or like matchups or whatever you want to say. It's like Bull should have a defined role on this team. You shouldn't be wondering if one game he's going to DMP, or it's like, clearly if your players are struggling, you shouldn't play favoritism, because that's what Monty did. And it's like, well, why did Monty get fired eventually? It's because he was stubborn and he didn't see the writing on the wall. It's like Drew Eubanks is like Shamit. It's like these coaches find their players that they like and they just stick with them no matter what. It's like,
what was
Monty's?
What was Monty saying? Like, I would let him date my wife, or
Yeah,
no, I would let him date my daughter, not my wife. No,
daughter.
Rest in peace of his wife. No, his daughter. Sorry.
Yeah, so Thad Young, man, I just think he's that perfect complementary center. He does the dirty work, gets those rebounds. He's not in there to make, to score. And I just think he would be perfect, but I don't know. Like, who's the X factors? Like Eric Gordon could definitely be that, but he's been hit and miss, hot and cold, So that's my thoughts there. I don't know.
I'd say Naz Reid and Monte Morris on their side of things with a special guest star of Mike Conley, but I think we all kind of expect Mike Conley to do Mike Conley things.
Kyle Anderson too. People forget about him, but yeah, he can hit
slow-mo.
It from the corner. Yeah, slow-mo. Yeah.
He does those little things here or there that you don't expect, right? All of a sudden he grabs that extra board or slaps that pass away and finishes on the other end. He's not something like I would game plan for, because he does so many different things inside the game without a play being drawn up for him.
He's like Dyson Daniels. He's like Dyson Daniels. Like, we did not, like, when the last time we played the Pelicans, the game that we lost, we're like fuck Dyson, and he scored like 8 straight, and like, we lost by like like 10. So
yeah. I gotta make a challenge to you, JJ. I gotta challenge you on something. With this Suns team that we have and this talent, if we're not showing 100%, I don't want to hear you complaining about foul calls from the ref, because they're gonna happen either way. But if we go 100%, that shit should not matter. So if we get to the point where we're questioning the referees, we got to look back to the players, in my opinion, because I don't think the refs should not fucking matter with this team.
No, 100%. And I'll go a little further. Like, that fucking Kings game was ridiculous, by the way. That fucking Sabonis can walk for a mile and they don't call it. It's insane. But the biggest issue with the Suns in the playoffs with the officiating is, like, for my POV, is like, one team is allowed to be aggressive and we can't. We can't match the intensity. And I don't know if that's because we're a jump shooting team and referees don't expect that, or it's just like we're not like a big, intimidating team. Now we're like the second biggest team in the league. We are filled with jump shooters. We do have defenders on this team. So I wonder how the officials are really going to officiate, the playoffs. It did seem that they did, change things out after All-Star break, kind of cut down on a bunch of shit, especially in the Minnesota game today. Like, they're calling Rudy Gobert on the over the back shit. They're like, yeah, you're not doing that. Like he's so used to like pushing players and getting boards. And same thing with Drew. I mean, Drew gets away with that shit all the time, but yeah, like this team should not be, the downfall of this team should not be predicated on the officials. I will say that wholeheartedly. You should not depend on officials like the Lakers do, but the Suns just have to be better. You have to win by 20 to win by 5, in some games, So like you need to start off strong.
Facts.
You need to stay poised. You just can't be fucking up. That's just really what it comes down to. So I'm 100% with you, Evan. I don't want to blame the refs. Like, to be a referee must be the most depressing goddamn job ever, especially when you're trying to call it right. People trying to kill you. So
they make bank though. They make bank.
Yeah, they do.
Hey, real quick, did y'all hear what Katie said after the game? He said every game matters. Really,
now
bro?
Going forward?
yeah. Now going forward, I don't know. That kind of rubbed me along the wrong way. Along with Devin Booker, we're just chilling. And remember, just a few games ago, we gave it was like 48-12 after the first quarter of that Clippers game, like just a few days ago. So all our issues are not behind us because we had a great comeback against the Kings and a good game today. But we do get the matchup we want. So we along for the ride. Hopefully we'll be back with you next Sunday. Before we cut off a Suns talk and go to a couple other things, anything else you guys want to throw in with the Suns? I mean, I could go on for days. And I have things I want to say, but I'm going to wait till the off season. But either of you guys right now?
No, I'm good.
Like we're gonna talk about. I'm assuming this game before game 1 on Saturday. So another much more to talk about with this game, but I'm just excited for the NBA playoffs in general. I think it's gonna be pretty hectic, and if the Celtics fucking lose, then they're cooked, and they have to kind of blow up their team, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, man, who knows? Honestly, this is probably the least amount of basketball I've watched this year, partly because of, having a newborn at home, my back being fucked up for a while, and all these different things, but also because we've been such a disappointment. It's been shitty to watch other teams actually play real basketball and then switch on the Suns. So, with that being said, I am going to be watching the playoffs because I'm a glutton for punishment. And I love me some playoff basketball. I loved watching as much March Madness as I could. So here we are, another playoff run. Scotty Scheffler winning the Masters today was dope. It's nice to see a 2-time winner. I was rooting for Colin Morikawa just because I like seeing new guys win it. And maybe Max Homa could have gotten it. So always go for the underdog for me. Real quick before we get into D-backs, Cardinals, I want to get your guys' opinion on the Arizona Coyotes moving. I think it's just sad. It's pathetic how the Tempe voters would rather have that land than the entertainment district and the Coyotes. It sucks what Glendale did. It sucks what Wayne Gretzky did to our fucking franchise years ago. It sucks moving the team out to Glendale to begin with. Los Arcos should have been a home long time ago. And it seems like everybody's just out to get the Coyotes from a political side in Phoenix. It sucks. I live here in Salt Lake. I work for an organization that will definitely be involved in this professionally. I can definitely reap a lot of benefits from it, and I'm pissed off about it. That shows my passion. Have I been the most, vocal fan of the Coyotes? No, because they've been in turmoil. But them moving is a major L for the city of Phoenix. It is, and the surrounding municipalities. It is a major L for Phoenix. Everyone's like, well, the NHL wants to go back because they ultimately don't want to leave Phoenix. But we just lost a team to the number 30 TV market in the country, from the 4 or the 5 market to the 30 market. That's a major L. Salty, you grew up around the same time I did. Coyotes in 96, 7, 8 with Roenick, Kachuk, Hobby Bulin, Dallas Drake, Teppo Numminen, all these dudes that were in the league at the time. When I got into hockey originally, it was a vibe. The whiteout was tremendous. Never being able to get out of the first round was a real bitch. But it was a vibe, man. The Coyotes back then were dope. That's when the Dbacks came as well, too, and we were a sports town. So I want to get your thoughts. We haven't even really texted or talked about it much.
Yeah, it's a shame, man. Honestly, I don't know what it is about the Coyotes, because when they got to the Valley, there was extreme excitement. And I went to a game with my dad, and I caught, one of the pucks flew over, and caught it. It was like the inaugural game. And it was like, you're talking about stars like Roenick, Kachuk, all those dudes, Hobby Bolin. And it just, for whatever reason, they were at America West Arena back then, and there was like obstructed seats. And like, once they decided to go to Glendale after all the failed possibilities, you're talking about like Scottsdale with what was it called? The
Los Arcos.
Los Arcos, yeah. Like, once that happened and they decided to go to Glendale, that was like RIP, because like their fan base was all East Siders, and people aren't going to drive out to Glendale to go to a game and then go all the way back. Because like Sunday, like when you go to a Cardinals game, it's different. But like when you're going to a hockey game during the week and they have a game that ends at like 9 or 9:30, you got to fight traffic, drive all the way back to the East Side. People ain't doing that. So that was like RIP for that. So it's, once that shit failed, like once I heard that they were leaving Glendale, I was just like, it just got to a point where it's like so many failed attempts to do what was made sense. Cause like what makes sense for these teams is to be centralized in downtown Phoenix. But unfortunately, like there's not the land to build these stadiums. Like the Dbacks have their own issues. They're playing in like a dump of a stadium right now, so I do think there's plenty. Like, am I a hockey fan? I wouldn't say I am, but I think it's from a perspective of how big that Arizona is, and like even just the Phoenix market, to lose a professional sports team, that's similar to Seattle losing the Sonics. It just doesn't make sense. They lost the Sonics and they went to OKC. Like that shit, this still doesn't register to me. Like I don't respect OKC having that team. It's like Seattle should have that team. That should be the Sonics. Like,
yeah.
Katie was drafted to the Sonics, not the fucking Oklahoma City Thunder. Like nobody gives a fuck about Oklahoma City. So it's just like, I want Seattle to have the Sonics, and it's like they can say whatever they want about it, but it is what it is, man. I think it was just failed attempt after failed attempt. Bad ownership, ineptitude, losing teams, and people just couldn't attach themselves to that, because the Valley's very finicky. It's like you need a win to have support, unfortunately, So
go figure, right?
I just think Utah is what it is. I think that it's cold there. There's lots of white people that like hockey out there, so it is what it is. I think it will do good there. So.
And unfortunately, living in the market and being privy to some conversations that I'm not going to repeat, I do know for a fact that, number one, Salt Lake City is an Olympic market. It's a cold weather Olympic market, and they have the Olympic Oval here. It's a cold weather market. Park City, Sundance Film Festival. Hockey makes too much sense. I don't think, and I actually said this in a public forum, I said, I like baseball more. I like the MLB more. I would go to more MLB games than NHL games, but I think our market would be able to support 18 to 20,000 person, new stadium or arena, and being able to fill that up with 41 games, as opposed to baseball, which could be 40 to 60 to plus thousand people on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, a getaway game at 1:10. With our demographic, and Salt Lake is actually the youngest county in America, a lot thanks to the LDS Church, right? Having a lot of kids definitely helps that. So we're the youngest county in America here, and being able to take kids to a lot of games that start at 6:40 or 7:05 for baseball, that could be 2.5 to 3 hours. I don't think Salt Lake would be able to support that, but they were able to get a lot of taxes and stuff passed. I mean, I'm going to be taxed now with them coming here. I don't like the way, I'm going to tell you guys some stuff offline. I don't like the way that the taxes, we're being forced to pay for stuff. We should be paying for stuff for any billionaire to make fucking profit off of. This isn't just Salt Lake. This is any sports team. The damn owner of the Oakland A's should have been able to build something on his own years ago. And now it's the fans that get screwed, right? So that shouldn't have happened. And I don't like trying to think of a way I can say this. the motivation behind getting a team there is a little different than what people think, and
It was all,
tell you guys.
yeah, it was, if you look at it, it was just, it's like the big wigs of the NHL. They're like, hey, what is his name? The guy that owned the Coyotes, Morello, or I don't know what his name is. They're like, hey, you want to make a cool $1 billion or whatever it was, because he bought the team for nothing. They're like, well, we're gonna buy it from you, then we're gonna sell it to this other billionaire. You guys are all gonna make money. We're gonna make money, and that's just the way it's gonna be. And they're like, that's how it went. That's how it went. So
I just typed it in the private chat, and Jay, I just saw you. You just put your head down. The motivation behind it is really screwed up. And I talked to a couple Jazz fans about this, and of course they're like, well so, like I love this. This is great for us. We get to do this and we get to do that now. So, again, for me professionally, it's gonna be a good thing, but I'm gonna have to endure through a lot, and it sucks that we got like fucking Shane Stone kid is not gonna be in Arizona anymore. Like that alone is so fucked up. Jay, I want to hear your thoughts, bro, and then I want to get into D-backs real quick and Cardinals.
Just very quickly, because I'm not a hockey connoisseur. I think that the NHL has done a disservice with marketing on the western side of the country when it comes to hockey, because if you actually sit down and watch a hockey game, it's actually very entertaining.
It's fun as shit.
But it's fun as hell, and I wish I would have grew up in an atmosphere of like watching hockey and stuff, but it just wasn't ingrained in me. And to go off what Salty said, moving the Coyotes to Glendale, like no one is gonna be making that ride. Like hockey, like if you grew up playing hockey, you know how expensive it is to,
and you can't get ice time for shit.
Yeah, exactly. So you're gonna move that to the west side of Phoenix, where it's predominantly a minority area that plays strictly football and basketball and baseball, and that's it. Like no one plays hockey on this side of town. So you're having people come from Gilbert, Chandler, Ahwatukee, all those areas to go to Coyote games, 45 minutes away through traffic, going past ASU, all that shit. It's like I knew it was raps after they did that, but this is just another example of one, bad ownership, and two, Arizona owner bad ownership. It's like it's just rinse, cycle, repeat. And I never wish this on any sports city losing a team. That is so unfortunate. The Sonics moving, I wasn't I was like 4 when that happened, so it didn't really hit like that. But seeing the Raiders go to Vegas just seemed like a money grab. Seeing the A's following the Raiders just kind of hurts a bit. The Charlotte Bobcat rebrand and the development of the New Orleans Pelicans was a little weird. Even though I really like that Bobcat logo, I understand why it happened. But I just hate seeing this happen to cities, and now for once it's actually us, and it's very unfortunate. I'm a Phoenician. I didn't grow up being a hockey player. I love our uniforms. Buy them when you can, before the fucking hippies get them all and sell them for $300 a pop. But those uniforms will live forever. The Coyote fans will always be loud and proud. I've known plenty in my life, and even customers that I service on a day-to-day basis are die-hard Coyote fans, even though they haven't been good majority of their tenure. But it's those golden times that make you make your head held up high, and remember those good stints. So I'm gonna miss the Coyotes. I never really got to a game. I wish I did. I put it off a ton. I got invited a ton, never went, and now I really regret it. So
they didn't love you anyways. They were leaving, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So fuck the owner. It is what it is. And for the people that kept on voting no on that land, obviously didn't understand what the bill was asking for and how it was going to be funded in the first place. And, I'm 23 years old. I'm not a big reader. I read a lot of comic books. That's about it. I'm in the middle of American Prometheus. But I could even understand a 2-page PDF about how this place was going to be funded. It didn't take, a scientist to really figure this out.
Yep.
So to all the non-readers, you did this. So you let another billionaire owner kind of just, shit on a team and throw them somewhere else. So,
and that sucks. D-backs are fun. They're fun right now. I want to talk about them, but 1 minute Cardinals draft. We're all on board with just drafting Marvin Harrison Jr., right? Is anybody keen
100%.
trade back? Yeah. Jay?
Unless Minnesota offers a crazy package, then Marvin Harrison for sure.
Even then, though, dog, do we really want to take that risk?
3 first-round picks. Do you do it for this year?
No.
So my quick take on it, they did what they did last draft, and you saw what happened with the Houston situation. Now, you can say whatever you want with Paris Johnson, but clearly Will Anderson is a stud. They got the best offensive player and defensive player. Now the Bears are going to try to copy that model. Now, if you have that opportunity to draft a future Hall of Famer player, a lot of times if you try to trade back and stack picks, we saw that with the Suggs situation. I'll never get over that shit, dude. He was a beast at ASU.
We traded back and we got Bryant Johnson and Calvin Pace back to back, right?
Yeah, 2 garbage players.
Now we happened to hit on Anquan Bolden in the second round, but
still, it's just like, come on, man. I mean, if nothing's a sure thing, but if they do this 2 years in a row where they, I wanted them to draft Will Anderson, they traded back. I eventually got over that, but like this situation where we could literally get a Larry Fitzgerald 2.0, like, come on, man. I won't get over this shit. Like, even if they get like a huge package, I'll just be like, fuck, dude.
Yeah, dude. I don't want to do that because I want more blue chip. Yeah, right there. I want more blue chip players on this team now than in the future. When you get the 11th and the 17th pick, I mean, yeah, you could technically move up, but who knows if Romeo Aduze or Malik Neighbors are actually going to be those dudes. I do want a bigger body, bigger wide receiver out there for Kyler Murray with his short ass. He had great synchronicity with AJ Green, for better or for worse. He did great with AJ Green, who was a bigger wide receiver, right? And then he had one good year with Kirk. He never really hit it off with Rondale Moore. He had a good half a year with Hollywood, right? But he's always done better with the bigger receivers. I think that's just the way we go. And I just want this is about upping the talent ceiling of this team this year and getting a player that's going to be better than the 11th and the 27th guy and the whatever guy next year. And if we trade with Minnesota for a pick next year and they hit with their quarterback and they got Justin Jefferson, who's to say what happened to Houston this year doesn't happen to them as well too? So that pick that you think is going to be a top 10 pick is now a bottom 20 pick. Right. So I don't want to get cute. I just want to go for it right now. I mean, if you can get the Chargers on the phone right now and say, hey, I've got the 11th and this pick, can I move up to 5? Then yeah, you acquire the extra pick and you do it. I don't know if you can have those conversations. I don't know if you can just be like, hey, bro, what are you guys doing with the 5th pick? But without that guarantee, just don't get cute. Draft him at 4. Move on with your day with the 27th pick and the top 8 picks in the top 100. Just get that talent. You want to make trades with that shit, go for it. Don't get cute with this. Just do it, man. Stick and pick, Coda. Stick and pick.
No, I agree. And yeah, like I said, it would take an insane package from Minnesota or any other team with a bunch of first round picks for this year and next year for me to do that. But Marvin Harrison, what a stud, dude. And he would be able to add a lot to a up-and-coming offensive juggernaut. Trey McBride, one of my favorite players right now. Michael Wilson, he's a nice guy to have out there. And to throw Marvin Harrison in the mix along with Greg Dortch, I mean, we're cooking something nice that I like personally, And a lot of people are going to sleep on us, but hey, the team has bought into Gannon, we saw that with the Cowboys win and the Eagles win, and we gave the Niners some issues last season. We can show up when we want. It's just a matter of people, start taking us seriously or not. So Houston definitely took us seriously. They knew the upsets we can cause. So like I still think Arizona is still a few years out, but hey, I mean, people thought that with Houston too, and look what they did this year. So I think last year, early on, it seemed like we had a 500 team. I'm being quite honest. It was really the talent that kind of kept us down, and we didn't have Kyler and all that stuff. So,
which is why you need to stick with MHJ. It was talent. It was lack of talent.
Exactly. So, I'm liking the trajectory of where this team is going. I'm really messing with Monty and what he's doing. I like what Gannon is bringing to the table. I already feel like I have a good feeling where this Arizona Cardinals team is currently. So we'll see how the draft goes, and I'm just hoping everything works out, and the NFC West just gets worse so we can get better. So,
amen. Team stick there. Everybody, thank you for listening. We have 124 viewers right now. We appreciate y'all. A lot of them on Twitter.
Thanks, guys.
So if you're on Twitter, hit us up, man. Follow us, DM us, engage, and we're gonna keep this ride going. Hopefully becoming the flagship show for ASAP Arizona, all sports, all play. It's our welcome back episode, and we're gonna close it out with a little D-backs talk. Winning today, the Milkman goes 6 scoreless innings, and we finally crawl back to 500. This team has been very up or down. They've had a lot of injuries so far, yet here we are 8-8, and we got the Cubs coming in tomorrow with Merrill Kelly on the mound. I mean, if we win another series here and just keep rolling, that's what you want to see. Paul Sewald should come back. Jordan Montgomery's going to make his start, looks like on Friday. Perdomo being out is a killer because Blaze Alexander in that shortstop role is really hard to watch. I love when he's up to bat. I hate when he's out in the field. And then hopefully our other starter, Eduardo comes back. And he unfortunately just went for a bullpen session. He felt some inflammation. So here we are again with living with Tommy Henry and Ryan Nelson. But Ryan Nelson was serviceable as well too. So 8-8. Not the best start, but we haven't dragged ourselves into the pits. I kind of look at it as like, injuries, are one thing. You always got to deal with those. But we played against the Braves and the Yankees, 2 teams from the AL and the NL that are looking to be in the World Series, right? And we played them very early off in the season, and we should have won 2 of those games in Atlanta. So those are great things to look at. When you look at our bullpen, holy shit. I do think what happened last year is going to happen this year. Hold on, Salt. I know. Remember when we got Sewald, everybody else got a notch down. That's exactly what's going to happen again. Unfortunately, we have to depend on Paul Sewald, and that's not something that you want considering what's happening right now in the first 16 games, right? But our bullpen is ass. The offense is like one of the top scoring offenses in the first 3 innings, and they're one of the worst offenses in the last 3 innings. And here we are again, 7th and 8th inning. They didn't score today as well. Trends to look at, still early, 16 games out of 162, right? So we'll see. But 6-0 or 3-0 for Gallen, 6 innings pitched, seven strikeouts. They won the series against the return of Paul Goldschmidt against a team that's 7-9 now. They could have been 500, but we are. Here we are, Salty. What do you think about our old D-backs?
So when we had all this hype in the off season or whatever, like when I was seeing the moves that we were making with our GM, I was like, something told me that our bullpen had a insanity run in the playoffs because they were straight up ass. And then we got Paul Sewald and he did his thing, and then kind of people slotted in there. But I don't know. I think it's easier to get relievers in the trade deadline than it is like starting pitchers and stuff like that. So I think that they can resolve that issue through trades and stuff like that, because we got like a good farm system, et cetera, et cetera. I think we've had crazy amount of injuries, and like, what's his name? Who's the Rodriguez? Is that the pitcher that we got? What's his name? The guy that was having.
Yeah. I'm having a hard time just thinking of his damn name. I'm an idiot right now. But
Anyway,
yeah, go
but
ahead. Eduardo
that
Rodriguez.
that's
Duh.
troubling the way that isn't it his fucking shoulder or something with his
Yeah.
arm, and it's like when he tried to come back and then he's feeling tightness and shit like that kind of scares me because even if we need him and that other dude, it's like to have the deepest pitching rotation, but that's not our issue, and it's like it's definitely not our offense. Like you look at like Corbin's been struggling and all these other, like I think that will resolve itself. So it's like if there's an Achilles heel in this team, it's the fucking bullpen, and nothing sucks more than having a team play and you winning and dominating and see those games against the Braves. Like I was joking on Twitter. I was like, because after they blew that fucking first game, I was like, the D-backs are up 6-0. Do you think that they're going to blow this shit again? And of course they do it again. It's just like that makes you want to throw up. Like
No good.
a 6 spot or whatever, and like have this team come back and like literally because they had give me games against the Yankees. They had 2 against the Braves. You start stacking those wins up against what they have already. And I mean, that's where they would be where they need to be, even with the injuries. So I think they're a deep team. I think that they need to get players back and stuff like that. It's like they had no injuries last year, and it's like the baseball gods are like, well, fuck you. You're going to get injuries this year, bitch, and you're going to like it. So, yeah.
Hey, man, if Anthony Davis can stay healthy 76 out of 82 games, anything can happen. Jay,
That
what was your
true.
thoughts on everything?
Yeah, so, I mean, starting it with the high of those first 2 Rocky games, I'm like, hey, the backs are here. We're on the wagon, And then, yeah, we played against the Yankees, and that was a little rough series. But, yeah, Corbin Carroll just seems like he's going through like a sophomore slump a bit. I think that's going to, even out eventually. Corbin had a insane, rookie year. So, like, to notice a little bit of a regression, I mean, that's kind of normal, I feel like, just in sports in general. Like what Salty said, I'm agreeing with Salty a lot this podcast for whatever reason. But,
Happens every
our
once in a
bullpen.
blue moon.
Yeah, the broken clock is right twice, But yeah, the bullpen has been a goddamn train wreck, and like we've blown teams out in an inning, and then we give the runs right back because our pitching is ass. So there really isn't much to really say so far since we're so early into the season already. I mean, we're going against Chicago right now, pretty decent team. We have Kelly at the pitch. I think we can, handle Chicago. We'll see. We will be seeing St. Louis in a few weeks again. And I like our matchup against St. Louis, but San Fran is going to be tough. So, this next few weeks it's going to be not cruising, but I think we can, get back to sea level and really coast. I would say.
And baseball, it's like you got to do one of 2 things to be able to make the playoffs. Just be that steady team. Worry about winning series here and there, right? So if we can just go out and win this series, that's a positive mark, and you keep going. Or you just kind of play 500 ball and you wait for like an 11-0, 8-0 run, right? You hit these little streaks, and that's exactly what we did last year. We were such a streaky team. So this year I feel like if we can just kind of play that 500 ball, win some series, even split on the 4-game series, I think we're going to be able to find our role, our edge, kind of come August, September this year, as opposed to last year, being a more veteran team and kind of knowing what to expect going into the playoffs. So that's kind of what I expect. I'm not a baseball expert. I'm not like I am with basketball or football, but I look at the pitcher that we're playing against tomorrow. 10 innings pitched, 6.1 ERA. Merrill Kelly almost 20 innings and 2.29 ERA. The opening game of the series is big. If we can just win 2 out of 3, I think we'll be good. But ain't it fun watching Dbacks again? It was fun last year starting to get into the summer. Everybody started paying attention. And then the World Series run just took us by surprise. Ken Kendrick spending the most ever with room at the deadline, to Saltiest point about being able to upgrade the bench rotation, So it's fun every night having a game, man. This is going to take us all the way to football season again, right? We're going to be able to enjoy baseball all the way through August, September, and even maybe come October. So this part's been fun, because if the Cardinals get 500, I would be happy this year. Arizona State athletics is absolute ass in every form of the way. Remember when we used to do this podcast and be like, hey, you guys want to talk about the D-backs? No, that was our joke, if anybody's listening to us for the first time. But now it's, hey,
now ASU.
You guys want to watch Arizona State? Like the fuck. So the fact that the D-backs are good are awesome, because they play long in the summer through those months. We got the Olympics this year. Olympics are going to be fun. Olympic basketball, right? It's going to be in France, so probably like an 8-hour or 9-hour delay or whatever shit that is. So we got a lot of stuff to last us this year. We got Suns playoffs right now. Then we got Suns free agency. NFL draft coming up, so it's a really good time to be sports fans. You guys, thank you for watching. We peaked at like 125 viewers. This has been dope. Make sure you guys follow all of us on Twitter at Coach Evan B and at He's on Fire Pod for my shit. Thank you for watching, Jay. Where can everybody find you?
At my handle right here at J Joyce on Twitter. Three Y's in the J and 1 in the Joyce. I talk a lot of shit. I yell about Vogel a lot and Drew Eubanks. So
yes, you do.
If you like that, content, feel free to follow me there. Ask me basketball questions. I'm here on the wagon. I'm right into the wheels fall off. So
the faceless wonder, Salty. Where can they find you?
At salty_az_. Some of the media people followed me. I'm sure they probably unfollowed by now, but I like meme shit. I like tweeting when I'm fucking pissed at my team. So I delete a lot of my tweets because after the fact. Anyway, if you want bad takes, follow me there, man. Let's go.
Good takes all around. Sports betting is another one for all of us, right? Good God, but I will be laying some bets down through both of y'all in the playoffs. I'll be requesting some favors. I get to go to Portland. Does Oregon have betting laws? Do y'all know?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
You can do every drug imaginable there. But...
Oh well, there's that. It's a work conference, so
yeah.
But no, I get to go to Portland next week, so next Monday I'll be flying out, so I get to lay some bets then. But again, it's been awesome hanging out with y'all. Make sure everybody follows us. Hit up our YouTube page. Hit like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. We're coming at you audio as well. Hopefully the flagship program of ASAP Arizona and starting back on Sundays, man. It's been fun talking all this stuff. We're going to miss our Coyotes, but launching up for the Phoenix Suns playoff run. He's on Fire podcast. Welcome back episode. Peace, y'all.
See you guys.
Urkavici sets. Loads up. Beaming one deep. And it is caught. Blitz coming. Bomber extending the play. Nobody there. Pushes the field. Larry Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald is Larry Fitzgerald is insane to the 4-yard line. Crowder looking, throws it alley-oop. He puts it down. He puts it down. Neal inbounds. Desmond